In this lesson, we will be learning to write regular verbs that we can use in original sentences that we will write in Latin. This lesson will focus specifically on writing verbs in the present tense because those are the inflections that we know for verbs. However, the process that we learn about today will be the same process that we will use when we want to write verbs in new tenses like the imperfect or the future tense. In order to be able to use all Latin verbs other than the verb to be in sentences, you need to know the infinitive and the verb's inflection. That means that you'll need the vocabulary list and your blue chart. You can get a vocabulary list from the teacher. To write verbs in the present tense, there are 3 steps we must follow. Step 1 is to write the base of the infinitive. Step 2 is to add a connecting vowel. And step 3 is to add the required endings. You will notice that these 3 steps appear in a box on the bottom left side of your blue chart. Now let's take out our vocabulary list so we can compare it to that one here on the screen and learn where to find the infinitive. Every time you look at a vocabulary list, you are going to see 2 forms of a verb. These forms are called principal parts. The first principal part is the I form of the present tense. Do you notice how each one ends with the letter O? Remember that O is the subject I in the present tense. So laudo means I praise, moveo, I move, curo, I run, capio, I capture, and dormio, I sleep. The second principal part is the infinitive. This is the form of the verb that we need to be focused on when we want to write verbs in the present tense or the imperfect or the future tense, which we will be learning about later on. The translation of the infinitive is the translation that is given to you on the vocabulary list. Now, how do we get the base of the infinitive? Notice that the infinitive of every verb ends with the letters RE. And in front of the RE is a vowel, A, E, or I. Those 3 letters are the infinitive ending. Remove those 3 letters and you have the base of the infinitive. Let's see how it's done. The first infinitive is laudare with ARE as the infinitive ending. When you remove it, you create the base loud. Movere uses ERE. Remove it, and you have the base mauve. Curere uses the infinitive ending of ERE. When you remove it, you end up with the base cur, C-U-R-R. Capere uses ERE as the infinitive ending. When you remove it, the base is cap. And dormire uses the infinitive ending IRE. Take it away, and the base that's left is dorm. Now you're ready to continue with the 2 remaining steps to write a verb in any of the present tense forms. The next step of writing a verb in the present tense is to add the connecting vowel. Before we talk about what a connecting vowel is, where to find it, and how to add it, you will need your blue chart. So pause the video now and get your copy of it, or make sure to get one from the teacher. Now that you have your blue chart, I want you to look at the bottom right side for a small box that says connecting vowels. It should look the same as the box that you see here on the screen. So, what is a connecting vowel? Well, it's really nothing more than a vowel, or sometimes two vowels, which join the base of the infinitive and the inflection that you will add to the end of the verb, so you know its tense and its subject. Notice in this box that connecting vowels are divided in two different ways. First of all, on the very left side, we see that connecting vowels are related to the conjugation that a verb is. A conjugation is just a fancy word for a group of verbs. We'll talk about how to identify the conjugation of a verb momentarily. You'll notice in the center and on the right side of the box that the connecting vowel is listed, and we are told what tense this specific connecting vowel is used for. Some verbs, like those which belong to the groups first conjugation and second conjugation, use the same connecting vowel all of the time. Other verbs, like those which belong to third conjugation, third IO conjugation, or fourth conjugation, use different vowels for different tenses. And sometimes, like in the present tense, which vowel you use will change depending on the ending. This is why it's important to know where to find this box on your blue chart and how to use it. Eventually, you may have all of these vowels and the changes memorized, but at first, you're going to want to use this box often to help yourself write a correct verb form. Now let's learn how to determine the conjugation of a verb. It's going to begin by looking at the infinitive. Remember, that's the second principal part of the verb. Once we know where the infinitive is, the conjugation is determined by looking at the infinitive ending. Remember, that's the last three letters on the infinitive. Laudare has the infinitive ending of are. It, and any other verb with that type of infinitive ending, belongs to first conjugation. Moeira ends with ere, but also notice that its first principal part ends with eo. When you see that combination, you have found a second conjugation verb. If the second principal part ends with ere, like currera, and the first principal part ends with o, then you have found a third conjugation verb. If you see ere as the ending on the infinitive with an io on the first principal part, that verb is a third io verb. And fourth conjugation verbs will always have the infinitive ending of ire, like dormire. Now, equipped with this knowledge, you are ready to find the base, add a connecting vowel, and attach an ending. So let's look once more at our connecting vowels. First conjugation verbs like laudo, laudare will use a. Second conjugation verbs like moeo, moeira will use e. Third conjugation verbs like curro, currera will use the connecting vowel I until we have to add the ending nt. Then we will use the letter U as the connecting vowel. Third IO verbs like capio, capera will use I as a connecting vowel until it is time to use the third person plural ending nt. Then you will need to use the two vowels I, U to connect the base and the ending. Finally, fourth conjugation verbs in the present tense will use I as a connecting vowel until it is time to use a third-person plural ending. At that point, you will need to use I, you as the connecting vowels before the they ending of the present tense. Now let's turn our attention to the endings. We have already learned the present tense endings: OM, S, T, MUS, TIS, and NT. Notice on our chart that we see here in the picture that the first person singular ending, O or M, is highlighted. The reason it's highlighted is because when we are writing the I form of the present tense, we do not need to follow the three-step process for writing a verb, where we first find the base, and then we attach a connecting vowel, and then we add the ending. When we have to write a Latin verb in the first person singular form of the present tense, all we need to do is write the first principal part, or the first word of the entry for the verb on the vocabulary list. All other endings, the S, the T, the MUS, the TIS, and the NT, when we want to use those endings on the verb, we must proceed with the three-step process of finding the base, adding the connecting vowel, and then we can attach the ending. Now let's take a look at several examples of how we write verbs from different conjugations into various forms. So let's see how we are going to write the verb laudo, laudare, which means to praise, in a variety of forms. First of all, I need to find the conjugation and the base of the verb. When I look at the infinitive ending, I see are, which means that it's a first conjugation verb. This tells me what connecting vowel I need to use. It also tells me what the base is when I remove the are. So the base will be loud. Now let's write the phrase, I am praising. This is the first person singular of the present tense. Remember that when we write the first person singular of the present tense, we do not follow the three-step process. All we need to do is write the first principal part, laudo. Now let's try writing the phrase, she praises. We start by writing the base, loud, L-A-U-D. Because it's a first conjugation verb, we add the connecting vowel A, and then we need to add the present tense ending, which represents she, or the letter T. Now let's see how to write the phrase, they do praise. Remember, we start always by writing the base. For this verb, that is the letters L-A-U-D. This is a first conjugation verb, so once again, we will add the connecting vowel A, and then because we want to write they do praise, they as the subject, we will add the third person plural ending, which is NT. Now let's see what it looks like to write the phrase, you are praising, in the present tense. Begin always with the base, L-A-U-D, for this verb. Then we will add the connecting vowel, A, because it's from first conjugation. Finally, add the appropriate ending for you. You may choose to use singular or plural. In this example, we're going to use the plural ending TIS. Now let's look at how to use the verb curro, currera. Remember that we want to determine the conjugation of the verb first. This will help us to use the correct connecting vowels. On this verb, I see the infinitive ending ERE. When I look at the first word, I see that it ends with the letter O, which means that this is a third conjugation verb. Remember that to get the base, I remove the infinitive ending ERE, and I'm left with the base of CURR. This is the base that I will use for all of the forms of the verb that I want to write. The first verb form that we're going to write is I run. Remember that for the first person singular of the present tense, all we need to do is write the first principal part, curro, I run. Now, let's go on and try to write a new verb phrase. This time, we're going to write the phrase, you are running. I begin by writing the base of my verb, CURR. I need to consult the connecting vowels for third conjugation in the present tense. I see that I need to use the letter I because I'm not writing an NT but just a U ending. We can add singular or plural. Here we're just using the singular U ending to write the phrase, you are running. What does it look like to write they run in Latin? Again, we need to start with the base of the verb, CURR. When we consult the connecting vowel chart, we see that in front of the third person plural or they ending, we want the connecting vowel U. And now we're ready to add the third person plural ending NT to make the verb form say, they run. Now, let's try to write a new phrase with the verb to run. This time, let's write, we do run. We begin again with the base of the verb, CURR. Then we need to consult the connecting vowel chart to learn that the vowel we want to use to connect the base to the we ending is I. And of course, remember that the ending for we is mus, M-U-S. Currimus, we do run. Let's try one more phrase with the verb to run. This time, let's write, she is running. Remember, we start with the base, C-U-R-R. Now we want to use the connecting vowel, so we have to look at the connecting vowel chart and learn that we need to use the letter I, once again, as our connecting vowel. This is what will join the T, which represents the subject she, to the base. Look at how funny it looks if I don't put that connecting vowel in it. Currit is the verb, she is running. So let's look at one more verb and see how to write it in Latin. This time we're working with the verb dormio, dormire. The IRE on the infinitive tells me that it belongs to fourth conjugation. When I remove the IRE, I learn that the base of dormire is dorm. We begin by writing the phrase, I am sleeping. Remember that when we write the first person singular of the present tense or the I form of the present tense, all we need to do is copy what's given to us on the vocabulary list as the first principal part of the verb. Dormio, I am sleeping. Now let's watch as we write the remaining forms of the verb using the three-step process: base, connecting vowel, and ending. Watch carefully as we write the phrase "they sleep" in Latin. Notice that when we look at the connecting vowel box, that in front of the letters NT, which represent the subject A, there are two vowels written, I and U. So remember that when you write a fourth conjugation verb with the subject they, you need to use the connecting vowel combination of I and U. Because the subject is you, we have no need to use I and you as a connecting vowel. You will only use I and you as a connecting vowel when they is the subject. And this happens only when we're dealing with fourth conjugation verbs or third IO verbs. In this example, we're doing the steps out of order and adding the ending for we, MUS, before we add the connecting vowel. You can do the same as long as you make sure to go back and complete all of the steps and add the connecting vowel like we do here.